guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. So we are continuing the red zone sweep with all of the different teams. DOKKANFEST Kid GOKU had just come out here in October. And we're going to go ahead and sweep the movie red zone with Kid Goku's team. Now remember, I think Kid Goku, he might have the worst roster of a lot of these 200% lead characters. But Kid Goku himself really is completely dominant, right? If not for Kid Goku being as strong as he is, these runs, I think some of these stages would really be quite difficult. Because the roster is really rather limited, again, for Kid Goku's team. You know, Kid Goku did get his EZA. He can be a pretty solid option in some of these stages, depending upon the type of boss that we are going up against. But the physical Kid Goku's, the support that he gives to the team, it's just so crazy. Just the straight up support he gives to Youth and Dragon Ball Saga characters is great. But then he's also Rainbow Orb changing. And then he also can give the damage reduction support as well, which can just allow many of these squishier, subpar options that we're using in a lot of these runs, really able to hang in there better against some of these tough bosses, right? So here we are against the Turles fight. Not much to say. Turles goes down pretty free, right? Turles is always a very easy fight. Alright, so next we are going to move on to the Lord Slug fight. Again, Lord Slug is not really tough, but his final phase is STR, right? Type disadvantage for Kid Goku, which could be an issue. I think if we would get caught by a Lord Slug super attack, I'm quite certain that Kid Goku would be able to survive. I mean, it would depend on how many Rainbow Orbs we get. Remember that Kid Goku gets 7% damage reduction per Rainbow Orb. And then, of course, if we're able to get the, the 7 Key Spheres, we'll get the extra damage reduction and the extra crit chance for the entire rotation, right? So Kid Goku, depending upon the amount of Rainbow Orbs, he's able to get a very healthy amount of damage reduction. His actual defensive stats can be pretty high as well. He just generally can work pretty effectively. We're using, you know, Carnival Goku and Android 8. They're in pretty much every run. Carnival Goku, just the way the character is, right? He's going to be on a lot of category teams. a lot of powerful 200% leaders and stuff like that in the future are probably going to have Carnival Goku, right? So, you know, expect a lot of use out of him, right? If you pulled him, probably going to be a lot of different teams and spots that he'll be able to do good in. EZA, STR Namek Goku as well is another character I really like using. I found that his defensive sacking, rage mode sort of combo can be very effective against a lot of these bosses, but really this Lord Slug fight, I mean, as long as Slug doesn't like one-shot Physical Kid Goku, we are basically gonna be okay, right? Because Lord Slug is just not really on the level as the, you know, big-time million damage bosses, right? Alright, now we're moving on to the Cooler fight. Now, Cooler potentially could be tough, but I feel like Kid Goku is just, like, he's just too good, right? These like, lower level fights, like, without the boss being able to do, like, insane stuff, like locking us or, you know, really having one of these big, again, way over 1,000,000 damage super attacks, without having that, I just think a lot of these lower level bosses, like Cooler and stuff like that, you know, while they you know, they can be challenging if like, you know, we would play sloppy or something like that here, but this is just really not a fight on the level as a lot of the Wicked Bloodline fights, or Broly, or Bojack, or Omega, or something like that, right? I feel like this fight is going to go down pretty easily. We could even use LRB Pan. This is a fight where we can, you know, bust her out. Physical Cooler, he can hit pretty hard, but, you know, we have characters who potentially will be able to survive his super attack. Remember, even though Cooler does hit hard, he also does have a countdown super attack as well. So, the fact that we always know where his super attack is just means that it's really not going to be that bad when it comes to actually trying to, like, survive it, right? We are going to be able to, you know, be able to sort of work around this Cooler fight, right? It's just, Cooler can be tricky, but it's just not that big of a deal, right? Again, Kid Goku just overall, everything he brings to the team is just a little bit too strong for this fight still. It's really, I mean, in this red zone, it was only really, like, the Broly fight that was, like, even scary, right? I think the only loss I have on this, in this entire, I think was Janemba. I think I lost to Janemba once. I think Janemba caught AGL Kid Gohan once. Besides that, I think we did every one of these runs in one try, I believe. Alright guys, now we're moving on to Android 13. Android 13 potentially can be tricky, you know, because he does cancel dodge, especially in sort of this, you know, the million damage boss super attack like meta, right, where, you know, Cell, Max, and Red Zone Broly, and Metal Cooler, and the Metal Cooler Core, they just will wipe you out. I really, more than ever, am liking putting dodge on characters. I've just found, you know, it's like, people have this notion in their head that, you know, they put dodge on a character and it's a waste, but if you're putting a lot of dodge on a lot of characters, you will see it proc semi-consistently, right? We have, you know, many runs where, you know, dodges are able to get us through, but the thing about this Android 13 fight, of course, is that dodge is canceled. So my Kid Goku and my Android 8 both have full dodge builds, and both of them are not going to be able to take full advantage of these full dodge builds here in this fight against Android 13. Because remember, Android 13 cancels dodge. Right, once we get to E-Jail Android 13 right here, dodge no longer works, but we do have some options, some characters who could work pretty effectively here. Carnival Goku, of course, and then we also have the World Tournament Gohan. You do gotta love that this World Tournament Gohan, man, really able to make a performance in some of these fights against these tough EGL Red Zone bosses, right? I would use this Gohan against Metal Cooler, Broly, Android 13. All three of these fights, I think you could dust out this Tech Kid Gohan, and he could probably do pretty effectively. The one problem for Gohan, and we had it happen here, is Ki. It's always been this way with that World Tournament Kid Gohan, where he could struggle for Ki depending upon what the rotation looks like, and that happened here, right? Now, once we get physical Kid Goku on a rotation next to him, he'll be fine, right? But that's, again, that's just sort of what can happen. We're using Pan here as well. Pan and Kid Goku do work rather well together, but of course Pan is just really, it's, the more I use her, the more it's like, yeah, she just has to have a GT Goku to be outstanding. Like, she could still be a decent option, but to be as good as a lot of people think she is, she really does need just a GT Goku to really, like, carry her, to hold her hand, because all the additionals and the active skill and all the craziness she could do, right? Like, she's not able to do without a GT Goku, but she's able to perform well here, although, I mean, Kid Goku, when Kid Goku decides to bust out the triple 11 and 12 million attack stat rotations, I mean, yeah, we're able to toast these bosses really quite fast. Alright, so now we're moving on to the Bojack fight. Now, Bojack is definitely a tricky fight. You have to be a really top-tier team, like, pretty much devoid of holes to, like, just completely just crush this Bojack fight 100% of the time, right? Because remember, the Goku squad right here, these guys can put up a decent fight, actually. They can do decent damage. They can put up a little bit of a struggle, I found, these guys right here. And then once we move on to Int Bojack, I found does hit rather hard. So it is something, you know, to sort of worry about, right? Int Bojack being able to thrash us. But the thing about Kid Goku's team is Kid Goku's physical. Aha, there's a super attack dodge. But Kid Goku is physical, which means he could potentially bully Int Bojack. I believe that's what happens in this run. I think we turn Int Bojack inside out, right? We give him a brand new asshole. It's basically what happens in this run. And then once we get to Tech Bojack at the end, remember that Tech Bojack does have the lock and the seal. Tech Bojack, every single turn, will 100% of the time lock a character, and he will seal a character, which just can be very problematic. Having characters locked and sealed every turn, especially if Bojack is able to lock, a weaker character in slot 1, you can be in trouble, which is why I typically do not even run EGL characters in this fight, just because it's like once Bojack starts locking shit, right, maybe every single attack Bojack's going to do is in slot 2, and then he locks the EGL unit in slot 2. It's not even a thing of, oh, just never float the EGL unit so they're in slot 1. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? Like, you're just better off in a fight like this not bringing EGL characters at all. And if you are going to bring an EGL character, it's got to be Android 8, or AGL UI Goku, or AGL Jacko, right? One of these characters that could dodge like that, to where they could get, cornered into a tough spot, and then at the very least, you do have a chance to make it out. There's not a ton of AGL characters, I think, who are just going to sit in front of these bosses, and they're just completely good to go, right? I'm not really quite so sure. Now, we're using a lot of the same options that we use in a lot of these runs and team stuff, right? Carnival Goku is in, like, virtually every single run. There's a reason, right? He's just ridiculous. Carnival Goku, essentially, I view him as just a slightly worse LR Vegeta and Trunks. Like, Carnival Goku is, like, a very similar type unit, although that revive is very good, right? Like, many very difficult fights with a lot of these different, like, red zone runs I've done now. Carnival Goku's revive has been absolutely huge. Easy Namek Goku, of course, is going to be able to help us out quite a bit. And then Int Broly. Int Broly, you don't want to go too crazy with Int Broly to where you're like, oh my god, he's so good, he's crazy underrated, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, there's specific fights where I think Int Broly can be very helpful, right? He actually can do good against Red Zone Broly, because Red Zone Broly is a pure Saiyan, which means after Broly attacks, he'll have 36% damage reduction, and he can stack. And the Broly fight typically goes on for a long time, so, towards the end, Broly can really become quite tanky, right? Then this fight against Bojack, but, oh yeah, dude, we one-turn, yeah, this is why we one-turn him right here. Bojack does not live this turn. Yeah, hilarious. But then the other thing that can happen is, Broly using him against, like, Tech Bojack right here, a very powerful tech boss, right? That's the other way you want to use Broly. I mean, I repeat myself quite often with this, just so people understand. Really, how you want to build your runs is you don't really want to fall in love with, like, one setup so much on a lot of these, like, different, like, red zone stages. And it's really more so about, coming in with as many type advantage characters as possible, right? That's why we're using LR Namek Goku, again, Broly, Carnival Goku, and stuff like that. Very unfortunate. Namek Goku not really getting a good opportunity to do very much here. Remember that Carnival Goku, too? This first hit can definitely do a lot of damage. Yeah, 260. I mean, remember, Carnival Goku, he's not completely impervious to damage. He can hang in there, but I mean, depending upon how deep it is into the fight or what happens, he could take damage. Especially that first hit. That first hit can do damage to Carnival Goku, right? That's why I do have a little bit more dodge on him than typical. Because it's like, just sort of like, just in case. I have had Goku dodge, like, that first super attack before, which, again, 260,000 is quite a lot of damage that we potentially could have avoided. Now, I'm pretty sure we win this fight off of Easy Namek Goku right here. I have, like, constantly, yep. So Kid Goku is sealed and locked right here, right? So what do? Okay, let's just go ahead and use Namek Goku's Rage mode, which is going to cause the turn essentially to be reset, right? So what we'll be able to do with Namek Goku's Rage mode now is I obviously want to put Namek Goku in the 3rd slot and Android 8 in the 1st slot. So we can use Namek Goku's Rage mode to potentially avoid Kid Goku being sealed, right? We could also move Android 8 into slot 1 to guarantee that Bojack will not be able to lock our rotations, right? I have won many red zone fights off of Namek Goku's Rage mode right here, right? Dude, it really can be very effective. I feel like people don't really properly rate how effective this can be, like this right here. So we'll get some decent damage in on Bojack. but then he double orb changes. It allows us to sort of play around with the rotation and work through Bojack's stun and seal, right? I've been able to make great use out of this against the Metal Cooler Core, against Bojack. It's just very good. This is the reason I really like this character. This and him defensive stacking, I found that this Goku can really put in work, man. Every time I do one of these easy ATUR tier lists, people are always complaining about Namek Goku, and it's like, look, like, he won us the fight. Like, I feel like his rage mode right there guaranteed won us the fight. I mean, I don't know that this Bojack fight would have been so difficult, impossible, oh my god, without that, you know, good turn by Namek Goku, but it you know, it deserves to be pointed out that, like, I definitely think we won right here because of that turn by Namek Goku, right? It's just very strong. That ability he has, that rage mode, it could be very good. But, you know, he is an RNG character. You do have to, you know, get that deep into the fight, have that low HP restriction to be able to use the ability, right? Namek Goku is certainly one of these high RNG, easy ATUR characters, but, you know, many fights, that Namek Goku can really come in clutch. Alright guys, now we are fighting Janemba. Now again, I believe Janemba, surprisingly, is the only boss that I actually lost to in the movie side of the red zone here. I believe even Broly I got done in one try. I believe I did. What happened here was Kid Gohan got caught, right? Certainly can happen. Kid Gohan is a character who, at this point, I would say has definitely aged. But if you're using him properly, right, in the right setup, if you're careful with him, Kid Gohan can really build up that defense. His support can be very effective. But then also, don't forget with Kid Gohan, right, that you are able to use his active skill. Kid Gohan's active skill is just so tremendously good. I really think even today, it is one of the strongest active skills. We now, you know, exist in a time where there's so many great active skills, right? Pan is like a nuclear bomb being dropped. You know, the father-son Gallic gun, huge damage, and then giving the entire rotation defense, right? You have, like, the androids and Pycon who have their ghost ushers. There's a lot of really good active skills, but I think Kid Gohan's, man, is really crazy. It heals you, it gives defense to that rotation and the next rotation, and Kid Gohan guards for that turn. Just, it is absolutely a game changer, and again, can be very effective in a lot of different sort of runs. Now, we just barely managed to survive here. You know, it's Janemba sort of caught the characters we didn't want him to catch, but we're just, again, barely able to survive. This rotation right here, in terms of the support and stuff like that, was crazy. Wow, we curved the dude. Sometimes the Kid Gokus, I mean, you guys see it, man. These Kid Gokus sometimes have these rotations where they are just ridiculous. Like, Kid Goku can put up so much damage, and then he's supporting the rotation and Rainbow Orb changing. It's just crazy, right? Like, Kid Goku, I just think it's just such a spectacular unit. He's so much fun. I think the 3 October Dokkan Fest, Kid Goku, Gamma 1, and Gamma 2, more so than anything, they're really fun characters. I think that, like, really matters, right? That's one of the most important things. These characters are fun as hell, right? So it's like, we had a really rough start, but Carnival Goku here basically gives us a reset. Now he'll have his guard guaranteed for the rest of the fight. Now our rotations are also in check. Remember that a lot of times, even if you have the strongest team, depending upon your opening rotations, these red zone bosses can completely body you, right? If your rotations suck balls, like, right away. We kind of had that happen, but we were able to make things work out. We're using Great Ape Kid Goku here, who is not the craziest character ever, but, you know, he does link rather well with Kid Goku, this Dokkan Fest one. He does get the support, and he can stack up as well. He can work effectively on the team. Here's another one of these rotations by... Look at this beast, dude. Like, it's crazy, this Kid Goku, man. He's so damn powerful. So, there we go. There's Janemba. Again, I think Carnival Goku just sort of gave us that reset, which sort of allowed us to get the W, right? And then we're just bullying Janemba with active skills and shit like that. Just bullying this guy. Guys, so we move on to the toughest fight here. Now, again, I believe, I think I got this done in one try. What happens, though, is that we get a very clean run against AoE Broly. Typically, I've found that on all the no-item runs here, AGL Broly really is such a menace. But I feel like, besides... with Majin Vegeta's team, AGL Broly kept catching me. Like, I was having trouble. But I feel like most of these, like, no-item runs I've gotten through Broly, it's like, once I slip past AoE Broly, that does really feel like just the overwhelmingly unfair part. AGL Broly is still so unfair, so much of a nightmare, but it's just, when AoE Broly supers, you know, slot 1 of the first turn you get to him, it's oftentimes that you just don't have a chance to live with most teams, most setups, right? Many strong characters these days, if AoE Broly just supers you at the end, like, at the end of the first rotation, you probably won, right? Because, if he's not, that first turn, if he supers at the end of the rotation on the first turn, that means he's not going to super at the start of the second rotation, too. And that AoE Broly, he doesn't have that much health, so any normal setup should really be able to destroy that Broly, in time, right? So, that is very, very good. Now, we're using a lot of, I would say, very obvious characters in this run right here. AGL Kid Gohan can stack up. He could stun this first phase of Broly for us, which can help, right? We already got the stun off, which is helping us. He, of course, has the crazy active skill, which we've already talked about. There's Int Broly, who's got his damage reduction, who's got his stacking, right? Kid Goku, Android 8, like, all these characters, we know what they're here for. Demon King Piccolo. Now, Demon King Piccolo is a character that I don't think that, like, he's like, oh my god, he's some diamond in the rough. Everyone was stupid. We all missed him. There was nowhere to run him. There was no setups. There was no partners or no nothing for him. Now, it's like they drop this gift from the heavens in Kid Goku, who is supporting Demon King Piccolo, links up well with him, and is creating orbs. I've never had it happen where there's a rotation with Kid Goku and Demon King Piccolo, and I'm not able to get orbs enough for both. Right, Kid Goku wants to get 7 orbs to give the rotation damage reduction, and then Demon King Piccolo, he wants to get 5 orbs in his old form, gives him damage reduction. Once he transforms, he doesn't transform until turn 7, and then I believe he has 5 turns of 66% damage reduction once he transforms. But Demon King Piccolo is here for one reason. That's the tank, and he can do that, right? Guess what? Having a huge amount of damage reduction can be very effective in terms of tanking. And the fact that Kid Goku is supporting Demon King Piccolo as well, right? That really helps. Demon King Piccolo can put in work in the red zone. This just goes to show the type of characters that age really good. Characters with guard and damage reduction and dodge, right? That's what you're looking for, right? These types of characters. Demon King Piccolo is closing in on, oh my god, he's closing in on 3 years old, Demon King Piccolo. And now, he's probably better right now than he was on release. I think Demon King Piccolo, I only used him, in this whole movie Red Zone run, we only used him here against Broly, right? But I think Demon King Piccolo could be very effective in all these fights. Maybe not against an int boss, but, he could go type neutral pretty easily against, I think, a lot of these tough Red Zone bosses. Impressive performance by Demon King Piccolo. Now, the reason we win right here is because Broly does super attack on this turn, but Broly super attacks in slot 3. So int Broly right here gets us 36% damage reduction. I believe he triple supered right there as well. Carnival Goku's able to get a stack in. He gets hit as well, so he gets that extra 59% defense. And Kid Gohan gets a stack in as well. So we get all these like super attacks, all these defensive stacks and defensive buffs before Broly super attacks. Bam. Like, that's it. We win. Right? Because now, Broly will eat his 140k. Gohan eats his 200k, but that's not enough to kill us. So, bam. And then at this point, right, it's just, simply just don't get caught, right, on one of these characters. Kid Goku can survive a super attack from AGL Broly if we're able to get him a lot of Rainbow Orbs and stuff like that. Again, remember, Demon King Piccolo will easily tank Broly. We don't have anything to worry about when it comes to Demon King Piccolo getting hit. Android 8 doesn't have anything to worry about, right? It's just like, basically, AGL Kid Gohan and Kid Goku. Those are the only characters who will sort of get, like, one-shotted potentially off the screen by AGL Broly. And if our health is really low, we potentially could have Kid Gohan pop his active skill, too, which would pretty much give us the win, too. Oh, and we're right near the Dokkan attack, too. Very good. Yeah, Demon King Piccolo, man. I mean, orb changing plus damage reduction. It's a pretty powerful and pretty potent combo. Now, also remember with Kid Goku, when you use his active skill, he gets the 59% chance to crit for the turn, which can be really quite effective on a turn like this, right? Where we're going against this type of boss. So, there we go. There is Red Zone Broly. He gets demolished by DOKKANFEST Kid Goku and this team. I love this Kid Goku unit. He is tremendous. He's fantastic. He's very fun. Let me know what you guys think of the new physical Kid Goku sweeping the movie Red Zone. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.